Hey family members, it's Mr. Panza, and guess what? It's that time for another test in math. This time, it's in division. If you open up your student's organizer, their homework review should say that they have a division review homework sheet due tomorrow. And in fact, they have this video that they can watch tonight that will give them some of the answers because we have a test tomorrow. And this review sheet will give them questions that look almost identical to the test questions, but really they're not the same. However, they will help them practice for tomorrow's test. So you should have a homework in front of you that looks something like this: Division Review Homework. Please have your student write their name at the top. I'm going to go over some of the questions. Others, I'm just going to breeze by because the students really have a good grasp on it, and others maybe you're unsure of how to help, and I'm going to show you that tonight. They should also have out in front of them a multiplication chart that looks like this. They've crossed out the zeros in the top as well as on the side as to not get confused, and the multiplication chart will help them divide so they don't have to sit there and spend all night figuring out their multiplication tables, especially for larger numbers, especially if they are struggling. So let's take a look at the first question. I need to solve and check. Well, in this case, I'm trying to solve a division problem, 65 divided by 3, and I need to show all of my work. So I'm going to start by creating my chart. Dad, Mom, sister, brother, rover. Or in other words, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat, or remainder. So I have a dividend of 65. That goes on the inside of a division house. Then on the outside is my divisor, which in this case is 3. Now the students will run through these steps over here and figure out what the answer is to 65 divided by 3 by using these steps. I feel comfortable that they should be able to do that one pretty much independently. Question number 2, it's kind of a strange question. It's asking you, how many times can 6 be subtracted from 6,330? What in the world? Well, multiplication is nothing but repeated addition, which means division is nothing but repeated subtraction. So in this case, they're really asking you to divide with a dividend of 6,330 and a divisor of 6. So really all they're asking you to do when they ask you to subtract that many times is to divide. Again, I feel pretty confident that the students should be able to solve this one using the steps above: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat, or remainder. If I didn't feel confident in that, I certainly feel confident in number 3. We've done Fact Family since the beginning of the year with our math review sheets, and we did it back on multiplication. So they should be able to come up with 4 different either division or multiplication facts that prove that these are a family. You may even want to have them draw a triangle on the side to show you how to set it up and to figure out those 4 problems. Number 4, however, is something that's maybe new to you. It was certainly new to me last year, and I'm going to show you how to solve this one. It's a word problem where, in this case, using what is called a bar model or just picture representations can really help you solve it. I have Michael, and I have Michael's brother. His brother has half as many trains as Michael does. Altogether, they have 144 trains, and the main question is, how many trains does Michael have? I don't really need to know how much his brother has. In this case, I've got to figure that out to answer the question, but the main question is, how many do Michael have? Michael is over here, and Michael's brother is going to be represented with the bar down here. So Michael has a certain amount of trains. How many? We're not exactly sure. I draw a bar. His brother is also going to get represented with a bar, but it's going to be half the size. Because, if I go back into the question, his brother has half as many, and together they have 144. So if I wanted to total that up, I could draw my mustache, or of course a bracket, whichever you want to call it. Their total is 144. Well, Michael has half as many, so I'm going to split his bar into 2. I'm sorry, his brother has half as many, so I'm splitting Michael's into 2. Now you may be wondering, well, what do? I only have one piece of information. You really don't. Because you're using a bar model, you now have a number that goes on the inside of the division house, and on the outside, the divisor, 1, 2, 3 bars, that's what I'm dividing by. And then I go back to the top and figure out my steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat, or remainder. So that's what I'm going to do. That's how you solve by using a bar model. You read the question, set up your bars, and that's going to be part of your math equation. 3 goes into 14. If you're not sure, I'm just skip counting, I can use my chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to go over 12 because if it's 15, I'm too high, so my answer is 4. I put 4 on top of the 14. I divide it. I multiply 3 times 4, which gets me 12. I divided, I multiplied, I now subtract. 14 minus 12 is 2, and I bring down my 4. I also can bring down my 3 to help me divide, because this is not a remainder, it's too big. I must repeat the entire process again. How many times can 3 go into 24? Let's find out. Look at your chart. Start at 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it goes evenly. 8 times. So I put my 8 up here. When I multiply, I'm multiplying 8 times 3. I'm getting 24. And I subtract. I get 0. There's nothing left to bring down, so my answer is 48. However, that's not the answer to the question. That just tells me that Michael has 48 in one half and 48 in the other half, and his brother has a total of 48. They don't want to know what his brother has. They want to know how many Michael has. So what do you have to do? Take 48 and add it to 48, or you can take 48 and multiply it by 2 because there's 2 parts in Michael's whole to get your answer. 8 times 2 is 16, carry my 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, which means Michael has 96 trains. Pretty crazy. To use a bar model, though, it really helps you figure out what you need to divide by. When I look at number 5, it's just another division problem. Set up your division house. Of course, circle the property so you know what you're doing. 2,192 divided by 2. And then run through the division problem with it. In this case, you're dividing to find the remainder. So you know there's going to be a remainder at the end of this one. And I've got another question here. When a number is divided by 7, the quotient is 23, and the remainder is 4. What is the number? Holy smokes. Well, let's take a look. If I set up my division, the quotient is the answer, which is 23. Inside the division house is what we're actually looking for. What are you dividing by? The remainder is 4, and the divisor is 7. So you got to ask yourself, how can we use all 3 of these numbers to figure out what goes inside here? Here's what you do. You take 7, you multiply 23. I'm going to do that on the side here. 23 times 7. 7 times 3, 21. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16. That's not my answer just yet, because I need to take the remainder and add it. That is going to get me what goes in the box. So plus 4 equals 165. I haven't really done many of these with the students, but it's a way to check their division. So make sure that they really study this. And if I wanted to check, I could run through the division process. 7 goes into 16 2 times. 7 times 2 is 14. Subtract and get 2. Bring down the 5. How many times can 7 go into 25? 3 times. 7 times 3 is 21. 25 minus 21 is 4. That's my remainder, so it checks out. So again, if you see an awkward question like this, you need to multiply the divisor by the quotient and add the remainder. How many groups of 3 can you make out of 27? What are they asking you when it says grouping? You're really just dividing. So again, on the outside, take 27, divide it by 3. Should be able to do that one independently. The last one, 678 pumpkin pies for sale at the local market. The workers at the market pack them in boxes of 6. Just another division problem. 678 divided by 6. The other thing I would suggest, once you get your answers, go back and double check them. How do you double check them? You multiply the divisor, this number on the outside, by the quotient, or the answer, and you add the remainder. If they check out, you're good to go. If not, you may have a problem. But go back and check them because it will help you answer a question like number 7. I hope this helped. Like I said, you're checking out the videos, so they're already a step ahead. I hope that they do great tomorrow, and if not, we'll just continue to review throughout the year, as division certainly is one of the tougher topics that we tackle this year. Thanks so much for all of your support. Have a great night.